did that just happen? A challenge by Marvin Lewis essentially wins the game for the Cincinnati Bengals today. It wasn't pretty. The final score today, 14-13, but it all comes down, no joke, to a 12-man on the field challenge, illegal challenge at that, by Marvin Lewis today, and that gives you your 8th win of the season, Cincinnati Bengals fans. Glad you could join me here on Inside the Jungle postgame. I want to hear your thoughts today. We had a little bit of bad Andy. We had a little bit of good Andy today at some points there in the second half. But all in all, look, it wasn't pretty, but they got the job done today. They're now 8-3-1 on the year. Get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. If you're outside the country and you want to get in touch with us via Skype, you can as well. Inside the Jungle is the Skype account. Let's start off. Area code 714. Hi, who's this?
Hey, this is Lenny Rolson. Hooday!
Hooday! Hey, Lenny, how you doing today?
Good. Hooday! 3 road games in a row. You got to win. Got to be happy.
That is right. 3 wins on the road in a row. At times, it did not look very good today for the Bengals. They made the Bucs look pretty good, but in the end, a win is a win.
Yeah, I got to agree. My stomach was in a knot the whole game from the first play on. But God, Marvin, I don't know, somehow pulled that out. Jesus.
Pretty shocking. To see him throw the challenge flag, fully knowing that under 2 minutes you're not allowed to challenge. At worst, you lose as a timeout. But it also got the attention of the referees to look at the play. And sure enough, the Bucs had 12 men on the field, and that took them out of field goal range. What just unbelievable! I have no words to describe what just happened.
I know. I hear you. Oh, hopefully the Bengals have got a bad game out of their system, and now they can go in the last 4 and play some decent hard football and step on some other people.
That's right.
New Orleans is beating the heck out of Pittsburgh. That's cool.
Yeah, New Orleans beat the Steelers, the Bucs beat the Steelers, so there's no reason to think that at home next weekend that the Bengals can't beat the Steelers as well.
Yep, I hear you. Hooday. Ah, Jesus.
You got to catch your breath there, Len.
I know. It was crazy. And I had to listen. I didn't watch the game. I was listening to it on the radio or on the website, but maybe it's good I didn't see it. I just had to listen and go through it.
Well, it wasn't pretty. It certainly wasn't pretty.
Yeah. Anyway, ended up with a smile on my face, so I guess I'm happy.
That's all that matters, right, Len?
You got it. All right, I wanted to call in and just say hooday and let you have some people call in who know football better than me.
Well, thanks for getting us started off today on the postgame show, Len. Appreciate it, and have a good rest of your weekend.
All right, Nick. Good. Hooday.
Hooday. That's Lenny Rolson getting us started here on Inside the Jungle postgame. If you want to get in touch again, that number 404-946-3397. If you don't get through, continue to keep calling in. I'll be here as long as we continue to get some phone calls. So again, 14-13, the Bengals win. At times it was not pretty. Andy Dalton today on the very first play of the game throws an interception, a bad interception. In the end, he ended up 19 of 27 for 176 yards. He did have 1 touchdown pass. He did have 3 interceptions. The reports are going around saying that he was up all night ill. I don't know if that's necessarily true or not, but, let's be honest, if you're sick and you're not feeling 100%, you can certainly excuse some of that, but we've seen enough bad Andy Dalton to know that whether he was ill or not, I don't know if that necessarily would have changed things. But again, hey, in the end, they won, which is all that matters. Back to the jungle line we go. Area code 505. Hi, who's this? Hello, 505. You're on the air. Yep, I got nothing from 505. Try again, 505. Mohamed Sanu did have 1 completion today. He threw the ball as a quarterback. He still continues his perfect passer rating. Giovanni Bernard, your leading rusher on the day, 10 carries for 49 yards. Jeremy Hill with 13 carries for 40 yards. As a team, they rushed 28 times for 112. So they continued the streak of rushing over 100 yards. James Wright, your leading receiver today. Who saw that coming? 3 catches for 59 yards. Had a big third down catch there in the fourth quarter to convert on 3rd and long, which allowed the Bengals to continue their drive. A.J. Green, 4 catches for 57 yards. He did have the 1 touchdown catch. Gresh had the most catches on the day, 5 for 33 yards. Sanu had 2 for 19. Did have the big drop there in the fourth quarter as well. And Jeremy Hill, 4 for 12 yards. Let's go back to the jungle line. Area code 443. Hi, who's this?
That's Keenan from Maryland.
Hey, Keenan, what's on your mind today?
Nothing much. Just got to catch my breath from that game.
That ending was the most surreal ending I think I've ever seen as a Bengals fan.
Yeah, that was crazy. Marvin Lewis clutched the game for us.
You know, for as much as he gets a lot of flack today. And, he doesn't necessarily have the greatest history with challenging plays, but today, spot on. That was perfect.
Yeah, I remember when Carson Palmer was the quarterback, he used to be terrible on challenges, but recently, the last few years, he's been really good.
He has been very good, and full credit to him today. He got it done when they needed to, and at worst, it cost them a timeout, which they couldn't. You can't go home with it anyway. Might as well use it. So, good job of Marvin Lewis.
Yeah, who day on that? Steelers next week, so we can beat the. We're not. We shouldn't be scared of the Steelers at all. At all. They just lost to the Saints and at home.
Yeah, I mean, again, the Steelers too. If you think about it, they've also lost to this Buccaneers team. Look, to be fair, 2-9. That Buccaneers team did not look 2-9.
No, they did not. Well, the penalties made them look 2-9.
True, that's a good point.
All right, who that?
Well, appreciate the call, Keenan. That's Keenan from Maryland here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch again, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. That ending was just absolutely bizarre. I thought that at first Marvin was trying to challenge the fact that maybe Lewis Murphy didn't catch that ball, but then you see the replay and you could tell that he clearly caught it. And then you start hearing Solomon Wilcox on the telecast talking about 12 men on the field, and then as soon as they brought up that still image of the play, and sure enough, 12 men, and major kudos to Marvin Lewis on that decision. Now, there were some other decisions. I should say there was one other decision in the game that was a little questionable, and that is the surprise onside kick after the Bengals scored their touchdown. And in hindsight, obviously, 2020, you look at it and say, wow, that was a bad choice. But, to be fair, the Bucs offense hadn't been moving the ball all that well, and so why not take the chance? I mean, they almost pulled it off, but you got to give the Bucs credit for being alert and making a play to recover that onside kick. In the end, I think it cost them 3 points, which could have, had those 3 points not been on the board, and instead of kicking a game-winning field goal there at the end, you're forcing the Bucs to score 6, which, again, hindsight's 2020. It looks great if they pull it off and they're able to do something with it, and of course, it looks really, really bad when you can't pull off the surprise onside kick. And hey, you know what? In the end, all that matters is that they won the game today. They're now 8-3-1, and as of right now, the Steelers are losing to New Orleans, according to my score sheet here. The Browns have lost or are losing to Buffalo 26-10, and San Diego and Baltimore are close, 33-27. That game there late in the fourth quarter. Both Pittsburgh and Baltimore are at the 2-minute warning. So, the tiebreaker over Baltimore, that certainly helps. And now that you got Pittsburgh coming to town next week, and we're watching Drew Brees throw all over that Pittsburgh secondary. I'm not saying Andy Dalton should be able to throw it all over the place against the Steelers, but he has beaten the Steelers. He has beaten the Steelers there at Paul Brown Stadium, so that'll be a huge game next Sunday there in the jungle as the Pittsburgh Steelers will be coming to town to take on the first place Cincinnati Bengals. Get in touch, though, Bengals fans. 404-946-3397 is the number to call. Area code 505. Hi, who's this?
Hey, it's Bill from New Mexico.
Hey, Bill.
Can you hear me this time?
I can hear you, Bill. How you doing today?
That was hard stopping. I think I had to put a little nitro under my tongue. I'm doing okay because it kind of all worked out. in the end. But I wondered what you thought of the onside kick today, and that took me totally by surprise.
Oh, it's not something we typically see from Marvin Lewis. We don't see a lot of fake punts. We don't see a lot of trickery from a special team standpoint. But to see the surprise onside kick, that was surprising. As I was just saying, if they pull it off and they recover it, he looks like a genius. And you look bad if you don't.
True. Yeah, I wonder though. I mean, I was okay last week when we went for it on fourth down. I figure you throw 6 of those balls to AJ Green, he's going to catch 3 or 4 of them. But this time, I that is such a low percentage, success rate on onside kicks. I wasn't sure I liked that one too much.
No, I think what he's probably looking at is the fact that the Bucs offensively weren't doing a whole lot. And so what you're doing is you're sending a message to your defense saying, if we don't get this, we trust you. And they held them to a field goal.
That's true, and the defense was monstrous today. I couldn't believe how well they played.
They did play well at times, Bill. They weren't great. They did give up a lot of running, although it was only 75 yards. They still, they let Bobby Rainey there in the fourth quarter on that screen. They had a lot of missed tackles. Reggie Nelson has him dead to rights on that play in the fourth quarter there in the last 2 minutes, and he misses a tackle and is able to run the ball, another 30 yards down the field. You can't have that.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there, but I think they still came up with some pretty big clutch stops.
Yeah, and they held McCown in check as well. 50% passing, only 190 yards. As a team, the Bucs only rushed for 75 yards too. So, and the other thing too to keep in mind is that the Bengals, from a defensive standpoint, were behind the 8 ball quite a bit today with all the turnovers from their quarterback.
Yeah. Hey, I couldn't figure out also what was going on with our running game today. I couldn't really see it on the radio, and I wonder, did you have any insights from watching the game? How were we not able to move the ball this week?
Well, they've got some issues up front on the offensive line. They did some shuffling today. We saw some of Clint Bowling at right tackle and Mike Pollock at left guard. Marshall Newhouse was very ineffective. I think you got to give a little bit of credit to the Buccaneers front seven. They're a really, really talented front seven. You get Michael Johnson on that D line. Gerald McCoy's a beast up front, and he was beating guys inside as well. So I just think that the Buccaneers they did a really good job of tackling and getting to the line of scrimmage. And when the tackle was there to be made, they were making the tackle.
Yeah. Well, I think it's kind of it's okay to have a game like this every here and there, but I sure hope they shore things up by next week. I don't think Pittsburgh responds. I mean, I think if they come out and play at this level against Pittsburgh, I think we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's Steelers week, so they're going to be fired up. It's a home game, and luckily it's not a primetime home game. And you're right, they can't come out and lay an egg off from an offensive standpoint and from a quarterback standpoint. There in the first half, and let's give some credit to Andy Dalton as well. Didn't turn it over in the second half.
Yeah, I think he pulled it together nicely, but that 3 interceptions in the first half, I don't know. I don't know how sick he was. If he was so sick he was going to throw 3 INTs, I'd be okay with seeing Josh McCown out there.
Well, all right then. Well, Bill, appreciate the call from New Mexico. I knew what you meant.
Our backup.
I knew you meant Jason Campbell. I knew what you meant.
I meant Jason. You knew I meant Jason Campbell, right?
That's right.
It's these nerves. It's these nerves, Nick.
We're all jittery. If you could see under my desk, my legs are just moving a mile a minute right now.
Well, good talking with you, and thanks for running this little therapy session for us.
No problem. I'm here for you each and every week, Bill. Hope you have a good rest of your weekend. Don't be a stranger.
Okay, bye.
Rude, that's Bill from New Mexico ringing in. Area code 859. Hi, who's this?
Hey, John from Kentucky. How you doing?
What up, John? How you doing today?
Oh, doing good. It's too late in the season for me to be negative anymore. I've kicked them enough, and now I'll just be positive. Great win today. I had some go-arounds with a buddy of mine who's been bashing Dalton, and I said, well, let me ask you something. I think Dalton had 3 interceptions today. Is that right? Something like that?
That's right.
Okay, well, I asked him. I texted him. I said, has he ever led the NFL in interceptions? And he said, well, no. I said, yeah, well, Eli Manning has. As a matter of fact, I think it was last year, Eli Manning was approaching Ryan Leaf's numbers for turnovers. So, Eli Manning has 2 Super Bowls. So, hey, leave Andy alone, okay? It's a great win. We won, and that's all that matters. And then Pittsburgh, I think they're about to lose to the Saints, I think.
Yes, I believe you're right.
And Cleveland, I think, is about to lose to Buffalo. They
did lose.
I'm not sure.
They did lose. 26-10, your final there in Buffalo.
Okay, they lost to Buffalo. Now, Baltimore
is losing.
Well, the last I saw, San Diego was moving the ball, and they were down by 6 points.
San Diego's now winning with 38 seconds left, 34-33.
Oh, my gosh. I thought I predicted. I predict a different thing every day, Nick. I thought my last prediction was Cincy wins and everybody else loses. And I think Fatal Content responded to that on Twitter. But that might be a reality. Well, that's great. Well, Cincinnati squeaked it out, and maybe the Bengals were fortunate that the Buccaneers are as bad as they are. But, hey, they've won 3 straight road games, and I'm through kicking them now. We need to beat Pittsburgh next weekend, and let's just get better, and we just take it one game at a time now, okay? Who day?
Who day. That's right, John. One game at a time on to Pittsburgh. Appreciate the call. Safe travels this week, bud.
Take care. Bye-bye.
That's John from Kentucky here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. That's right. Baltimore now trailing in the fourth quarter, 38 seconds to go according to what I've got here on my stat sheet. 34-33, San Diego has come back and is leading in Baltimore. In the meantime, Buffalo has knocked off the Browns, and it is a final in Pittsburgh. 35-32, your final score. New Orleans has beaten the Steelers. It is a 3-point score line there as the final score, but I don't think it was as close as that score line indicates. Drew Brees was on fire today in Pittsburgh. Let's go back to the Jungle Line. Area code 606. Hi, who's this?
This is Brian from Kentucky.
Hey, Brian from Kentucky. How you doing tonight?
Doing pretty good. Survived my mini heart attack.
I think we all have.
Yeah. How about those refs? There's a lot of questionable calls today. A lot of hands to the face that really didn't look like much. And, I mean, I'm happy that we won, but those refs tried to give it to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, the officiating was not very good today. Not their best day. 23 total flags on the day. 10 for the Bengals, 13 for the Bucs. So yeah, I mean there was a one play in the fourth quarter where Terrence Newman was flagged for hands to the face. Yet I don't think his hand got anywhere near Mike Evans' face. So yeah, the officiating was not their best today.
Yeah, and the A.J. Green catch, I mean, that
was not offensive pass interference.
No, they were trying every which way in the world to give the Tampa Bay Buccaneers the win.
Well, so was Andy Dalton in the first half, to be fair.
Oh God, yeah. But hey, I thought it was going to be the Cleveland game all over again.
Yeah,
I really did. When the first play, he threw the interception. I was like, well, here we go. So I stuck with it and watched the whole thing. It was ugly, but, a win's a win. And it looks like it's about to pay off with 9 seconds to go in this Baltimore game.
Yeah, look, and to be fair, and he got a lot of flack in the first half. Andy Dalton just was absolutely poor. There was no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Three interceptions in the first half, and just 3 really just stupid throws. I mean, that's just like, what are you thinking kind of throws? But to be fair, and you got to give him full credit for this, he turns it around in the second half. He plays turnover-free football, and he leads them down the field. Then they score a touchdown to A.J. Green, which was your game winner.
Yep. And for people in the chat room, San Diego beat Baltimore by 1.
All right. It's a final there in Baltimore. The Chargers have knocked off the Ravens. So the Bengals now the only 8-win team in the division. That's fantastic news.
Yeah, and, I mean, normally from the past situations like this where we have to must win when our rivals fall, normally we fall, but I'm glad we picked up the win. And, I mean, I'll go bold right now. I'll say we will make the playoffs.
Woo! Bold. I don't think that's necessarily bold, Brian. They're in first place. Come on now.
They are, but that AFC North is it's tight.
All right, fair enough.
Yeah, but I guess I'll give everybody a chance to call in. I appreciate what you guys do. Y'all make my third shifts a lot more easier. So thank you guys.
Well, thank you. Appreciate the call, Brian. Don't be a stranger.
You're welcome. All right.
Hooray. That's Brian here on the Jungle Love. Let's go across the pond and joining us via Skype, the one and only Michael Smith. Mike, how you doing, bud?
I'm relieved, mate.
Relieved is a good adjective. I like it.
The Bengals very, very nearly drove me to crack open the 21-year-old Scotch I've got in the cupboard. I use for special occasions or for situations like this. But yeah. It's typical of them. I'm still not happy, though. I'm still really not happy with the performance.
Well, look, a win's a win.
I know, but it's just that it's the manner of it, really. We shouldn't be, relying on stuff unconstitutional, whatever. When is a challenge not a challenge? When it's in the 2 minutes to secure us the win. And I've defended Andy Dalton, and I've backed him to be the QB for this franchise. And I just think today was just, he's now causing down this stretch at the moment more harm than actual good to the team. I'm just really not happy with it at the moment. I think he is, putting his future into question in Cincinnati.
Well, look, I mean, Mike, he had a very, very bad first half, but he turned it around in the second half. He didn't turn it over. I mean, what for those, and trust me, I got a lot of people for whatever reason this week on Twitter asking me if the Bengals are going to draft a quarterback next year. I mean, are you out of your minds? Have you watched the Bengals over the last 5 years? Look, he turned it around in the second half, and he led them down to the game-winning score. So you got to give him some credit there. And he didn't turn it over in the second half. But yes, the first half, you cannot be putting yourselves behind the eight ball like that against really good teams. Really good teams will make you pay for that, and the Bucs didn't do that today.
I think one thing did confirm itself today was James Wright's performance. I think really confirms that Gresh isn't going to be here next season. We can pick up a guy in the tight end for the 7th round and make catches like that, and he's not, false. He's not false starting on the line.
Well, James Wright's not a tight end. He's a wide receiver.
Wide receiver.
Yeah.
What did they say it was tight? They said surely it's a tight end on the commentary. What the hell,
Well,
you can play both using better.
Yeah, I mean they may be able to. I think what they'll do is they'll evaluate things in the offseason, and depending on what that number is from Gresham and his agents, he may or may not be back. But I do agree with you that James Wright was big today. He was your leading receiver from a yardage standpoint, and when push comes to shove there in the fourth quarter and they needed conversion, he was huge.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, Dalton's performance was my ire today. It really was. I actually thought the defense, apart from those missed tackles right at the end, actually came up, played fairly decently today. Bit worrying at the first with when the muscle hamster was carving us a bit, but we still kept him down. We still kept him on the road to 13 points. That was it in the end. Yeah. So I can't really fault them. I don't know. It's worrying. It really is. And I know 8-3-1. I mean, there's a crazy scenario where if the Chiefs do us a favour, we could be the number 2 seed.
That's right.
It's crazy after that, but I don't know. It's just something quite uneasy. There's something really uneasy about us at the moment. And going into Steelers week, that's not a good sign. I think. Plus the fact the Steelers losing today, they're going to be angry Steelers. The stadium's going to be half Bengals, half Steelers as well. It's. I don't think we've really done ourselves any favours with some of the prep. I just think Andy needs to take better care of the ball. Let Hugh Jackson come up, because he was his play calling today. Hugh Jackson was tremendous. Just think let's take a bit more care of the ball. And next week, Nick, if we beat the Steelers like 7-3 or 10-3, whatever, I'm happy with that, because it's the Steelers. But not when it's the Bucs. We should be winning by two scores or more against this Bucs team at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, they didn't play their best in the first half, but when it counted in the second half, they made the plays to win. And in the end, a win's a win. They're in first place with a big showdown next week against the Steelers, that's for sure.
That's true. I suppose when you've lit a fire under them, they respond, and I guess that's been the story of this team, hasn't it, really, this season? And we also got, nicely, a little present from all the other three teams in the AFC North. So I think we game and a half clear of Pittsburgh now.
I think that is correct. Yes.
In a game and a half, so we still have that cushion going into 2 games of Pittsburgh, Cleveland, and Denver. Which is, I guess, if you've been offered this point, the start of the season, that you probably would have taken it.
Oh, you'll take it every day of the week. But the big thing, they just got to worry right now about Pittsburgh, and I'm sure they'll take care of business this week and be fully prepared for that game.
Do you think Vontaze will be back?
I wouldn't hold my breath.
Okay. No problem then. All right. Speak to you later, mate.
Hey, Mike. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
That's Mike Smith here on the Skype line here on Inside the Jungle. Area code 540. Hi, who's this?
Hey, it's Mark from Virginia. What's going on, man?
Hey, what's up, Mark? How you doing tonight?
Good. I took me a few tries, but I got to get in there. Hey, my blood pressure was up probably 10 different times during this game. It probably started elevating during that third interception.
Yeah, that was not his best throw, that's for sure. I think he was actually trying to throw it away, but just didn't get enough on it to get it out of bounds.
Yeah, but I know a lot of the Bengal fans out there are good with just the W and squeaking it out, but the bigger thing here at play is we got 4 games left, 2 at home and 2 away, and I would assume, and pretty much you would assume, that we'd be on all cylinders now. I mean, regardless if he's sick or what, but we got 2 come up against Pitt and then Denver and then the Browns. But I'll make sure these guys stay where they need to be and keep their head in the game. And hats off to that Tampa Bay D today. They shut down Hill and Gio. And speaking of that, I didn't see a lot of Gio. Do you want to comment on why he didn't play more, or is he still hurting or what?
Well, he had 10 carries and Hill had 13, so it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was split pretty evenly.
Yeah, I would like to have seen. It was good to see Michael John, but on the other side of the defense. But wanted to call in and say happy holidays and another win for the Bengals, and we got to keep this thing rolling, man. Got
to keep rolling. Appreciate the call. Happy holidays to you as well, Mark.
Thank you.
Rude. That's Mark.
Bye.
Here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch again, Bengals fans, 404-946-3397. One other thing to take note, and I don't know if anybody else noticed this today, I think that the rush defense for the Bengals actually, they got better as the game went on, and Pecco left the game with an injury. His arm was in a sling, he was in street clothes. And once Brandon Thompson got in, he was disrupting plays there in the backfield. Brandon Thompson was awesome today. The numbers don't really show it from a stat standpoint, but Brandon Thompson was disruptive in the backfield. And he's been a guy that's been coming on a lot over the last couple of weeks. And now with the injury to Pecco, we don't know what his status will be moving forward. You'd like to think you'd see a lot more of Brandon Thompson there on the interior next to Geno Atkins, who also had a pretty good day as well. Your leading tackler for the Bengals defense, Carlos Dunlap, 7 tackles. He did have a half sack. Vinny Ray also with 7 tackles. Reggie Nelson with 6 tackles. Lemur with 5. Newman with 5. Aloka with 4. And Robert Gathers with 3. The rush defense, if you look at the numbers from the Bucs from a rushing standpoint, 25 carries for 75 yards, that's a 3-yard average. That's not bad, but there were times where Doug Martin was really carving up this defense. Somehow the Bengals were able to keep that guy in check, though, there in the second half. They didn't let him get loose a whole lot. 18 carries for 58 yards for Doug Martin. That's a nice 3.2-yard average. It did look like, though, in the first half that the defensive line was really struggling getting off their blocks. Doug Martin was able to – he did have the one rushing touchdown today. And again, they limited Josh McCown. There were a couple plays where you just kind of scratch your head, and Mike Evans made some pretty good plays. But if you look at Vincent Jackson, 2 catches for 24 yards, that's it. Mike Evans 4 for 49. Your leading your leading receiver today for the Bucs, Charles Sims, 4 for 49 yards. So they did a good job of keeping the play in front of them. They didn't get beat deep, and they didn't bend it, but they didn't break either. From a total yardage standpoint, the Bengals outgained the Bucs 288 to 263. That's what you call ugly football. And you're right. And Dan Beck in the chat room said, could you imagine if they could have tackled? Yeah, the defense today, they missed a lot of tackles. Reggie Nelson, Ray Maluga, the Lemur missed some tackles as well. And they were able, and you got to give the Bucs some credit as well. They were able to find the holes and make the plays there in the first half. In the second half, after the Bengals made some adjustments, they were able to keep the Bucs out of the end zone. Let's see. Fatal Content here in the chat room says, been telling you all, Nick, people slept on Thompson's significance when he was hurt. I don't think we slept on it. I think we knew he could be pretty good, but we also saw Pecco was struggling there in the first half of the season. He seemed to get it together the last few weeks, as well for Pecco. So don't know what the significance of his arm injury is. He was in a sling there on the sidelines and at street clothes, but hopefully we'll have more word on D'Amato Pecco through the week as the Bengals prepare for the Pittsburgh Steelers who are coming to town. If you just joined us late here at CincyJungle.com, the Baltimore Ravens, the Cleveland Browns, and the Pittsburgh Steelers have all lost today. The only winners today in the AFC North are Cincinnati Bengals, 14-13 your final score. It wasn't pretty. Andy Dalton did have the 3 interceptions in the first half. But in the end, a red challenge flag from Marvin Lewis decides the game for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bucs were driving. They were in field goal range. And although you cannot challenge a play in the under 2 minutes situation, Marvin Lewis throws the red flag, stops the clock. It gets the attention of the replay official. And all it did is it cost them a timeout that they wouldn't have been able to take home with them anyway. So major kudos. You got to give full kudos and credit to Marvin Lewis on that play right there. He knows the rules. He's on the competition committee. He knew what he was doing. And he misses a lot of challenges that make you scratch your head. But today, that was spot on. So instead of a 26-yard catch with the ball being spotted right around the 20-yard line for an easy field goal, it backs the ball up back to the 46-yard line of the Bengals, forcing them out of field goal range. And the Bengals were able to stop them on 4th down and turn the ball over with 1 second left to go. That's how the Bengals win the game today. And again, at times it didn't look pretty. But in the NFL, where anything can happen on any given weekend, hey, the Bengals won. They had 1 more point on that scoreboard than the Bucs did, which is all that matters. And so now if you take a look at the standings for the Cincinnati Bengals and the rest of the AFC, if the season were to end today, this is before Kansas City plays the Broncos tonight, right now your 3 seed Cincinnati Bengals are 8-3-1. If Denver were to lose tonight to Kansas City, the Bengals would be the 2 seed right now in the NFL, in the AFC, I should say. Go Chiefs! Let's welcome in Fatal Content to the program here on the Skype line. Fatal, what's up, bud?
Hey, what's going on, man? How's everything going?
That was the most bizarre ending to a Bengals game I think I've ever seen. That includes the Hail Mary from A.J. Green last year in Baltimore. That includes just some pretty bizarre innings and a challenge flag from Marvin Lewis. Fatal. I'll take it.
Yeah, Marvin Lewis. The smart thing is that he knew he couldn't throw it. You know that he knew he couldn't throw it, but he thought, this is the only way that I can't let them advance to the next play without getting the referee's attention. And he knew, but I'm really shocked that they went back and looked at it based on how the game was going against us. And it's good that they did, and it's good that they acknowledged that they were at fault and there should have been a penalty.
12 guys on the field does the Bucs in. I mean, that was such a Buck move. Now, I got to ask you this, because you did mention it on the podcast on Wednesday night, that this was going to be a scrimmage for the Cincinnati Bengals. How nervous were you there in the fourth quarter?
You beat me to what I was going to say next. I was going to say, well, what a genius I was for calling this a scrimmage. That was one of the toughest scrimmages we've had. But I'll tell you what, that I actually was a bit worried on that final drive because I thought this is a Bengal stunt. This is the drive where we give up some crazy play and let the guy get out of bounds with like 2 seconds left and we lose the game. It's just the feeling that I had, to be honest. I don't like to lie, but I thought when Reggie Nelson was going to make that tackle, I thought, oh, this is it. And when he missed it, I said, oh, there it is. There's the play that I thought we'd get to lose the game. But you know what? Marvin Lewis did his thing. And I don't know about you guys, but I saw Pac-Man Jones. I think it was the play prior to the 12-man. He got mugged by Vincent Jackson. I think he beat him to the ball. He was going to go at least make a play on it and was just getting mugged. Our DBs were getting thrown to the ground. I mean, it was insane, and the fact that they only got one offensive pass interference, the refs were just completely off today.
Yeah, it wasn't their best days from the official standpoint. 23 total flags thrown, and that was just the 23 confirmed flags. So, yeah, not the best day. It wasn't the prettiest football out there.
No, it wasn't, and I, like I say, I'd never like to complain about that stuff, but it's like it was just. That pass interference, like you guys stated on AJ, was just borderline crazy. The play on Newman, that play that I just mentioned on Pac-Man, and also there was a play I think that after the penalty of the 12-man that Carlos Dunlap was just being grabbed right in front of the ref. But you know what? We put ourselves in that position to even leave it up to the refs, and we came through with it. Luckily, at the end.
A win's a win, right, Fatal?
Oh, a win's a win, man. 8-3-1. That's all I gotta say. You know how I am about this, man. 8-3-1. I don't care what anybody else says, man. I saw this coming.
And they rebounded after a poor first half from their quarterback, and he turned it around there in the second half.
Definitely did. One thing I will say though is we need to clean a few things up because we're not gonna play the Bucs every week. So there are a few things that we need to clean up that probably won't fly next week. I don't care that the Steelers just lost to the Saints. That was this week. That doesn't mean that's how they're going to play next week. So we need to definitely clean up our tackling for that beast coming up named Bell. And we definitely need to, we definitely doing a great job keeping receivers in front of us. So I'm happy with that. Our defense is, I believe it was, number one in giving up big plays to the receivers. So I think we're doing well, man. Hey, man. Keep doing a good job with this postgame show, man.
Hey, appreciate the call, Fatal. We'll talk to you Wednesday.
All right, man. Who they? AFC North champ.
One game at a time. Appreciate it, Fatal. That's fantastic. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397. I know many of you have tried calling in. Please continue to do so. I'll be here as long as we're getting phone calls. So please continue to call in. Again, that number 404-946-3397 is the number to call. Area code 410. Hi, who's this?
Hey, Nick, this is Seth from Baltimore.
Hey, Seth from Baltimore. What's up, man?
Man, well, last night I was working all day, so I actually didn't catch the game till halftime.
So you saw the good half.
And at first I thought I was in the Twilight Zone because I was looking at an update of it, and it said and done through I think 3 picks or something. I was like, what? But yeah, quick note. I feel good that we won, even though it looks like we didn't deserve to win, I guess. But what do I want to say? I guess I'm gonna say what Bill Belichick said on Pittsburgh, I guess.
Yeah, hey, on to Pittsburgh, it wins a win, and nobody else in the AFC North today won today. So that for as bad as they played in the first half, and as far as they were down 10-0, they came back and won the game, and that was a good response by them.
And it's funny that you said that every team from the AFC North lost, because I was just saying that yesterday that I hope every team inside the AFC North loses, and I thought I jinxed myself because I thought the Bengals were about to lose.
Hey, a win's a win.
All right, who they?
Appreciate the call, Seth. That's Seth from Baltimore ringing in. Caught the second half, which was the good half today from our beloved Bengals and our quarterback, Andy Dalton. Now, there are rumors floating around that he possibly was ill overnight, was up all night sick, and they talked about it during the telecast, that he had his own water bottle, which was clearly marked with the black stripes, that He could get rehydrated and not pass on whatever he had to some of the other guys on the team. Let's hope that whatever bug he had doesn't travel through the rest of the team. But if he was ill, I guess you can forgive him a little bit. But we've seen enough of Andy Dalton to know that he has days like this. Now, normally when he has days like this, they don't win, right? They don't win the ball game, and it's ugly. It's bad. But in the second half, he turned it around. No turnovers from our quarterback, and he led them down the field to score, the touchdown to A.J. Green. So you got to give him credit there. Area code 828. Hi, who's this?
Hey, Nick, it's Kurt down in North Carolina.
Hey, what's up, Kurt? How you doing today?
I'm all right. What's the consensus been?
A win is a win.
Can I just be the next person that says a win is a win, and I cannot wait to play the Steelers at home next week and wash this game out of our mouths.
Yeah, it wasn't pretty, but you also had to know that the Bucs, they're a tough group, man. They beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. I was surprised, at times I was surprised to see that this team is 2-9, but then there were some plays and some penalties where you think to yourself, oh, that's why they're 2-9.
Man, I mean, I don't think anybody really likes to blame the game on the refs. You can't blame the whole game on the refs, especially after Marvin Lewis, helped create that change at the very end of the game to help us win. But they had some really just bad calls on both sides of the ball. Like there was some like pushing off. There was a pushing off call on AJ Green that was total bull, and then like another hands to the face call on Terrence Newman that was also just like garbage. Like, it was bad. The one thing I can say that it's bad but good that I liked about it is that we've seen so many games in which Andy Dalton comes and is so adamant that he's going to be really bad that game, and that there's just nothing he can do to change it, and he's going to continue to play poorly the whole game. He went out and had a really crappy first half of football, and I'm not saying he came out fainting in the second half, but he didn't have any more turnovers. He managed the ball really well. Whatever bug was in his head in the first half, he was able to get it out of there in the locker room. He fixed it up enough to get 2 touchdowns and put us in a position to win. So it is good to know that he can, make some bad choices, but then be able to clear his head and go out and play better if he needs to.
Yeah, well, I mean, I hear what you're saying, Kurt, and I'm not, I'm a fan of Andy Dalton's. I'm not as big of a fan as, say, Mickey Mentzer is, but I think that, but no, and I'm not saying that as a bad thing. I just think that at times he can look really, really great. At times he can look really, really bad. And you're right. There in the games where he's bad, typically he doesn't get it turned around. But today, he was able to turn around in the second half. I think what I really liked was Hugh Jackson laying into him on the sideline. We never saw that with Jay Gruden. And today, Hugh Jackson was in his face, and you could tell he was upset.
Yeah, and I remember a comment about that last year. Like, Jay Gruden would just, come over and, pat him on the back and be like, it's okay, you'll get better, you'll do better next time. It's like, sometimes the only way you need it is just to get in their face and really lay into them. And I'm finally glad to see that Hugh Jackson doesn't have any restraint to do any of that. So hopefully, that was part of the thing that helped turn him around.
He turned around in the second half when they needed it most, and you got to give him credit there because you're right. In games past, when he's been bad, Andy, it's been bad Andy for 4 quarters, and today we had it for 2.
Yeah, Ray Malaluga does not look like he has the last 2 weeks. That was a pretty poor outing from him as well.
Well, I think there were a lot of guys on the defense too that missed a lot of tackles as well, and you're right. But as a team, they held the Bucs under 100 yards rushing, so you got to give them credit there too.
That's true. You got to take a couple days to digest it all to really find the things that are good and bad that they need to fix. So I'm going to get going. I'm going to let other people take a phone call here and have a good Sunday, and we'll see you on Wednesday.
All right, Kurt, we'll talk to you then. Who day?
Who day?
That's Kurt down in Nashville, North Carolina, giving us a ring here on the Jungle Line. If you want to get in touch, 404-946-3397 is the number to call. The streak is over. The streak I'm talking about is the fair catch streak from Adam Jones. He finally today called for a fair catch, and this was after getting destroyed on 3 punt return attempts. So today, I think under instruction from Darren Simmons, he finally called for a fair catch. It is the first time Adam Jones calls for a fair catch since 2006, 96 punt attempts. That's pretty crazy. Again, if you're just joining us, the Bengals win on a challenge from Marvin Lewis. Unreal. Never would have thought that it would come down to that. And I want to give some credit today as well to one Ryan Hewitt. I wish the Bengals could clone him. I think he's just a football player. He does the dirty work. He plays fullback. He plays H-back. He can play some tight end. We saw him with some pretty good blocks down the field. I like Ryan Hewitt. I think he does a pretty good job. He's solid. He's just one of those solid football players, that's for sure. Again, we'll be here as long as we're getting phone calls. 404-946-3397 if you want to have your voice heard about today's win over the Tampa Bay Bucs. Bengals now 8-3-1 on the year. First place in the AFC North with Baltimore, Pittsburgh, and Cleveland all losing. Big news tonight, though, is that the Chiefs and Broncos will tee it off. That game is a big game here in the AFC. If the Chiefs do win in Kansas City, they will be 8-4. Denver will also be 8-4. And the Bengals would have the tiebreaker as far as the records go and would be in the second seed heading into next week's game against the Steelers. Right now, looking at some of the other scores around the NFL, though, as we mentioned, Bengals win 14-13. The Steelers lose to the New Orleans Saints 35-32. That scoreline is closer than that game really appears, I think. At one point, the score was 35-24. The Steelers were able to make it close late. But a 3-point win for the Saints on the road in Pittsburgh after losing 3 straight at home. So New Orleans gets back on track as well. Detroit, we all know what happened on Thanksgiving. Detroit, Philadelphia, Seattle, all winners. Minnesota today beating up on the Carolina Panthers. Man, that tie to the Panthers is looking worse and worse. 31-13 your final there in Minnesota. How about the Rams, the greatest show on turf, go out after the Raiders finally win a game and have 4 extra days to prepare for the Rams. They lose 52-0 to the St. Louis Rams. Oy, not good. Jacksonville comes back to win against the Giants. The G-men lose 25-24 to the Jaguars. San Diego 34-33 winners over Baltimore. Buffalo 26-10. First game back in Buffalo after the big blizzard. They win 26-10 over the Browns. The Texans get back on winning ways with Ryan Fitzpatrick at the helm. They win 45-21 over the Titans. And the Colts knock off Colt McCoy and the Redskins 49-27. Fun times for Jay Gruden there in Washington. Early in the first quarter, Green Bay's up 3-0 over the Patriots. And Atlanta with a 17-0 lead over Arizona. They took one on the chin last week. Now they're trailing the Falcons in Atlanta 17-0 there in the first quarter as well. So that's the latest update. Denver and KC, that game kicking off tonight at 8:30 there in Kansas City. Bengals win 14-13. What a win. It wasn't pretty, but they got the job done. They went into Tampa Bay and won a place where they historically haven't fared well. They do get to win. They're now 8-3-1 on the year. First place for your Cincinnati Bengals heading into a big showdown next week against the Pittsburgh Steelers at Paul Brown Stadium. That will be a fun one. You won't want to miss that. As we mentioned, Pecco with an arm injury, with an elbow injury. So check into Cincy Jungle this week for more updates as we get more word on the injury to Domata Pecco. If you want to get in touch, if you want to email me, love your feedback inside the jungle at spnt.tv. Rate and review the show on iTunes as well. The feedback we've received on iTunes has been tremendous. For those of you who haven't caught the podcast earlier this week and somewhat last week during the postgame show, here in the month of December, I will be doing a daily version of this podcast, but there's one, you need to become a patron over at our Patreon campaign, spnt.tv/Patreon. That's Patreon. For just $1, you can have access to all of the daily shows I will be doing in the month of December. So starting here on Monday, there will be a Monday morning recap of all of the NFL action, in particular regarding our Bengals, and taking a closer look at what happened throughout the rest of the NFL. Tuesday will be Media Day Tuesday. I'll be sitting down with Jeff Hobson of Bengals.com. And on Wednesday, I'll have a sit-down with Neil Coulong from Behind the Steel Curtain in our opponent's corner to break down the Steelers and get some more information, a nice little scouting report about the Pittsburgh Steelers as well. You won't want to miss that. On Thursday, you'll have our typical, normal Inside the Jungle show that we record on Wednesday night. And on Friday, it's fantasy football playoff time. You won't want to miss that. We'll be talking fantasy football playoffs here on Friday as well. And, of course, we'll have our postgame show, our postgame coverage on Sunday immediately following the game against the Steelers. So if you want access to those daily shows, $1, I should say, over at spnt.tv/Patreon. And, of course, your support is very much appreciated. And a big thank you to everybody who's gone out and supported the Patreon campaign. If you want to get in touch again, you can email me InsideTheJungle at spnt.tv. You can always email me follow me on Twitter at Inside the Jungle. Don't forget our next live broadcast Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern right here at Cincy Jungle for our Inside the Jungle roundtable with Scott Bantel, Mickey Mentor, and Anthony Cosenza. You won't want to miss that here, 8 o'clock Eastern at CincyJungle.com. That's going to do it for me. Bengals win. They're in first place, and that feels good. Special thanks to my associate producers, Andy Lanham, Larry Rolson, and Mike Barty as well. Inside the Jungle is an SPNT production. For more information about our other podcasts, log on to SPNT.tv. For all the latest news and notes about the Cincinnati Bengals, check us out at CincyJungle.com. Thanks for tuning in to Inside the Jungle postgame. I'm Soups. We'll see you Wednesday. Hooray!